Welcome to TradeTheNBI.com. This is John. This report is for the 8th of August. Well, we got the bounce back, and of course we were talking about the potential of what would be a Delta V reversal, which would be you would have had to finish all the way back up to the top of this one. Didn't happen. That 50% became a hard knock on it, and we weren't seeing anything from a DOC, at least, other than just the short-term buyers. And a lot of this was new fund money because it's that time of the month where they all of a sudden saw a discount here on this big dip, started buying that up, and as it filled back in, bought some more. So we're right at that point where we would expect to see a crossover, but you would need to see orange come down below. So problematic from that standpoint. We may still see some sideways slightly up. In this particular case now, the yellow shakeout has moved above blue, giving the green light for that, but we still don't have a move above magenta. However, we're right at the negative 13.5. We're at minus 15, so pretty close to getting to a position where it could actually generate a buy signal, but still within this broader short at this particular point has not changed. Okay, from the NQ standpoint, pretty much identical, a little bit even weaker from a orange standpoint than the S&P is. Euro, again, the U.S. really would like to see this baby start to climb some more. The problem is you get systemic issues with Brit exit as well as a really weak Eurozone economically, so it's posing some problems because, but again, you know, if you're going to fight the Fed, good luck with that. They're always going to win. Oil continues its weakness. It's been in a sell for, well, a little bit of a while here. And that could be just the prospect of weaker global demand, particularly if China's going to suffer under this tariff regime. They don't seem to want to relent. They're letting their currency devalue dramatically. It's not going to be enough for them, so it'll be interesting to see if they capitulate at some point. But with the amount of supply capability of oil, we weren't looking for it to go anywhere, but what we were looking for is gold to continue this move, which it has, and that's beautiful cyan underneath there. Positive extreme, so at some point we're going to get a retrace to build back in that level, but for now, there's still this fleet to precious metals because it's safer, because what other currencies are you going to go with? Now look at this, is quite a wild one. So, well, we had the breakdown that started to happen at the early part after we had this early buy. We ended up with the DOC spread, finally broke below the 0 point, which is where it ends up with the magenta candle. The earliest sign is the original DOC, but you were slightly still above 15 on the magenta right there. When it dips below, boom, there was the signal, and it just collapsed all the way through there. And then we ended up with the, again, this is where we talk about that meeting between green and cyan after a signal on no reset, and rejected pretty quickly after there, faded a little bit, and then tried to reassert itself again. They met, rejection, boom, we could even put another sell signal right there, and then that one really decayed. We ended up with another signal right down at the bottom, right at that 2830, which is a really older algo level from way back. And as that progressed, we ended up with green over cyan right here, and could have taken it from that point even further when you ended up with the higher DOC readings on the higher pivot, and that started to produce a really good sized move that came all the way up again. DOC this time was below the 15, so never got above it. So even from the original DOC spread part, this one waits until you get red below 0 and puts that in there, and then that decayed to the other 2847 algo, where we started to pick up traction again, and still no reset within that. So the expectation was that this was going to be short-lived on the move. It was still pretty decent and progressed quite nicely, and then you ended up with cyan moving underneath, which kind of confirmed that it was going to be a little more extensive, and that allowed it to continue going forward. When the first short part of it came through, wasn't that far because you had this extreme above 13.5, well, actually 15 here on the shakeout, and briefed it below before recapturing and cyan moving back under, pretty much right at that same 2870 that we've been talking about for quite a while. Between this 2870 and 2880 has been the major focus, and we moved slightly above it, produced another DOC spread, and of course that actually gave us resets of the steel going all the way back to this maneuver all the way over here. So that kind of ended the broader short context of it early on, and then we ended up with just some brief sell signals right in through here with plenty of resets. So it's been popping back and forth, but currently within a mini short going on right at this particular point. But again, right back to these same numbers at 2870 and 2880 back and forth, and so those continue to produce similar results. And so that's one of those where we're going to be looking for continued closes above the 2870 and then 2880, looking for those to become new floors that will allow for the continuation back into the 29, especially since there's all this fresh money coming in. We'll see if it can withstand the amount of selling that's taking place. That's going to be the overwhelming question mark. I know even from a 50K standpoint, it bought that overall signal, and it sold the early one for roughly break-even situation, and then it went into an add-in situation for a new position. So it took this one originally and then pretty much re-entered right at the exact same level that it got out, but on a cleaner rising shakeout and crossover point, and that's where it is right there. And I think that re-entry was good. 28.45 and 3/4 range. So all in all, still again excellent action. We're getting very solid reads from our Pink 2. It's been fantastic from the 5K standpoint, so no objections with it so far. We're just going to keep going with it as it is, and wasn't anything unique about any of this, but if there's something special or relevant, I will certainly put it on the Skype chat. As always though, trade well. We will talk again later.